What's up, Falcons Nation? It's your boy Jew coming at you with another Atlanta Falcons video. As always, Falcons Nation, rise up. In today's video, I would like to talk about Matt Ryan and why I believe Matt Ryan will pass for over 5,000 yards this season. But if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell so you'll know when I've done Atlanta Falcons content. I appreciate you guys continuing to tune into the channel, continuing to support the channel. But with that being said, let's jump right into the video. So I do believe that Matt Ryan, one of my bold predictions is that Matt Ryan is going to eclipse 5,000 passing yards this season. He's never thrown for over 5,000 yards in a season. He's gotten really close over the last couple seasons. Within the last 3 to 5 years, he's had some seasons where he was really close to passing for 5,000 yards, but he's never done it in his career. And I really think that the streak breaks this year, and I believe that this year is going to be the first season that he eclipsed that 5,000 passing mark. And the reason that I believe that is I believe that Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, I really believe that those guys are going to be very explosive as they always are. I do believe that Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones are going to receive for 1,000 yards apiece, which will be 2,000 yards right off the back. And then Matt Ryan only have 3,000 left to pass for out of that 5,000. Out of that 5,000 that I think he's going to pass for. And if you think about all of the weapons that we have on this team, Hayden Hurst came over, and I really believe that Hayden Hurst, will receive probably catch for about anywhere between 500 and 800 receiving yards. I really think that Hayden Hurst is one of those guys that he really could get up, maybe up around that 800 yard mark receiving. It wouldn't shock me if Hayden Hurst even caught for over 1,000 yards because he's that special, and he's that good run after catch. And if one thing you don't know about Matt Ryan loves to throw the ball to tight ends. When he had Tony Gonzalez, when he had Austin Hooper, he loves to throw the ball, check the ball down. If it's pressure on him, if the pocket is collapsing, he loves to dump the ball down to the running backs and the tight ends. So I really could see Hayden Hurst catching from anywhere between 500 and 800 yards. I also could see Todd Gurley. He's a great receiving back out of the backfield. I can see him catching for about anywhere between 500 and 700 receiving yards. So if you think about it, with those four players alone, right there, that's probably about 4,000 or close to 4,000 yards receiving out of those, just out of Calvin Ridley, out of Julio Jones, Hayden Hurst, and Todd Gurley. And that's not to mention all of the other explosive pieces we have on this team, like Russell Gage, who is one of those slot guys, great in the slot, can get open, and is good at moving the chains on third down. Zacchaeus showed you last year in a couple of plays that he's very explosive. I believe he had the longest touchdown last season against the Carolina Panthers when he caught like a 90-some yard touchdown. So we have so many guys on this team that's very explosive. I haven't even mentioned Ito Smith catching the ball out of the backfield. I haven't mentioned Brian Hill, who's another guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield from Matt Ryan. So we have so many guys on this team where I think that it's going to be really easy for Matt Ryan to actually eclipse that 5,000 yard passing mark. Another reason I think that he's going to eclipse that 5,000 yard mark is Dirk Koetter, our offensive coordinator. Dirk Koetter, he's a guy that loves to throw the ball down the field, and he's a guy that loves to pass the ball in general. So I really could see Dirk Koetter using Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, even Hayden Hurst up the seams. I really can see him taking this vertical game to the next level, because over the last couple seasons, our offensive line hasn't done a good job of protecting Matt Ryan, and he's been sacked a lot. But I really think this year, with us bringing in Matt Hennessy and with Chris Lindstrom being healthy, and with Caleb McGarry being healthy, I really believe if we can keep all of these guys healthy on the offensive line, I think that that's going to bode well for Matt Ryan being able to pass for over 5,000 yards. And I really think that Dirk Cutter is going to take that vertical game to the next level. I really think that Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones is going to have a monster year catching the ball down the field. I also think that they're going to use the kids a little bit more this year than they used him last year, with being a deep threat and a vertical threat for Matt Ryan on shot plays, on play action shot plays down the field. Another thing that I think we really need to consider is that Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Todd Gurley, all of those guys are home run hitters. And what I mean by that is they can catch the ball from anywhere on the field. They can take it to the house. If you throw a screen out to Todd Gurley, if you throw a screen out to Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley, those guys, if they get the proper blocking and if they hit a seam or hit a crease on a slant pattern or something like that, those guys could take it to the house from anywhere on the field. So even Zacchaeus, he's another guy that if you throw him a short pass in space, those guys can really do damage with yak yardage, run out the catch. So I really think that Matt Ryan's going to have a big season. I really think that he's going to be in the MVP conversation again this season, just like in 2016. And depending on our team's record, I really think that Matt Ryan has a serious chance of winning the MVP this year. If we can win about 12 to 13 games this year, even 11 games, and we can win our division, I really see Matt Ryan being considered for the MVP this year or Offensive Player of the Year. But I really think that these are the best weapons, the combination of weapons that Matt Ryan has had over his career. He's had some great teams in 2012 with Roddy White, Julio Jones, Tony Gonzalez, Michael Turner, Harry Douglas. That was a pretty good team. Far as weapons, in 2016 we went to the Super Bowl. Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Austin Hooper, Devontae Freeman, Tevin Coleman, and those guys. Taylor Gabriel, if you remember Taylor Gabriel, Turbo Taylor. Those guys were really, that was a really good team as well. But I really think that this team is a lot more explosive just for the mere fact that you have Calvin Ridley, who is really a number one wide receiver, and he's more of a vertical threat than Mohamed Sanu was. And even he's more of a vertical threat than Taylor Gabriel. I like Taylor Gabriel's game a lot when he was with our Falcons, but I think that Calvin Ridley, his route running ability is a lot better than someone like a Taylor Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel was one of those guys that you kind of had to scheme open, and Kyle Shanahan was really good at scheming players open, but Calvin Ridley is not a guy that you have to scheme open. He's one of those guys that creates huge separation with his route running ability. To me, he's a lot better catching in traffic than Taylor Gabriel was. And to me, he's just a supreme athlete. He's a lot better than Taylor Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel was more of a slot type player and a guy, like I said, you kind of had to scheme open. But Calvin Ridley can be a number one on any team in the NFL. So I really think that Matt Ryan is going to have a real chance of throwing for over 5,000 yards this season. That's one of my bold predictions. I just believe that our offensive line is going to have to do a better job at protecting him this season. We're going to have to do a good job of mixing up the run and pass. And I really think that with having Todd Gurley in that backfield, I really think that teams are going to have to respect the run a little bit more, because teams start to see that Devontae Freeman had kind of lost a step, and I really think that people didn't respect our running game because of our offensive line and how poorly they played last year. They didn't do a good job of opening up holes for Devontae Freeman and for Brian Hill and those guys. I believe that our guard position, the left and the right guard position, kind of struggled last year. Teams were able to get into the backfield and limit Devontae Freeman and limit our running backs. But I do believe that the additions of Matt Hennessy and the additions of Chris Lindstrom coming back from injury from last year, and him, Caleb McGarry and those guys, Alex Mack, I really think that those guys are going to do a good job up front this year to create holes for the running backs. And I really believe that once we start to develop a running game, I really think that teams are going to have to load the box for Todd Gurley and for Brian Hill and Ito Smith. They're really going to have to worry about the running game, and that's going to just create more throwing lanes for Matt Ryan to throw the ball down the field, whether it's in play action or whether it's just him, getting in the shotgun and spreading teams out. Because I really think that we have so much overwhelming talent that I really think that we can dominate any team in the NFL when it comes to our receivers over their cornerbacks. I don't see many teams in the league that can match up with all of the weapons that we have on this offense. So with that being said, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you think that Matt Ryan will throw over 5,000 yards this season. I definitely think he has a strong chance to. And I definitely think that he's going to be considered for NFL MVP honors once again. But with that being said, if you're new to the channel, as always, hit that subscribe button below. I appreciate you guys. I'll highlight you guys in the next video. And as always, Falcons Nation, rise up. Peace and love. I'm out.